Hi, my name is Lori Jones, and I'm here to share with you my tips on planting annuals. Give you a little background on me. I am a member of the American Hemerocallis Society, which is daylilies. I also hybridize daylilies, and I have been hybridizing since 1993. I use a few products, and I'm going to go into that to start off with. The first product that I'm going to talk to you about is my gloves that I like to use. These are Garden and Grip. They're an all-purpose glove. They're washable. They're made with rubber, and the top of them happens to be like cloth for breathing, so your hands are good. Your annuals need to be kept moist, so if you wear a regular pair of gloves, your hands tend to get wet. I don't like that feeling, wet gloves, yuck. So, but these keep your hands nice and dry, and they are my favorite. I buy a new one every year. Got small hands, so I buy a size S for small. Now, another product that I use is Soil Moist. Soil Moist comes in granulars, and it's a little bit larger than sugar, a little smaller than kosher salt, but these are just a granular. And what they end up doing is when you add a Miracle-Gro solution to them, they expand. And when they expand, they look like jelly. And the jelly looks like this. And the only reason why it's blue is because of the Miracle-Gro solution that I use. This is the Miracle-Gro. And what I do is I like to take a tablespoon or so of it. And it is blue. And I like to put it in my container and then fill it with water. There's already solution in here, so I'm not going to add it to it. Once I've done that, and I take about 4 teaspoons of the granular, and I put it in a container like this. This is an old container, or a peanut butter jar is good too. I like to recycle stuff. And then I unscrew the cap, and then I pour into the container, just like that. So there's no muss, there's no spill, there's nothing. All you have is this wonderful solution being sucked up by the granulars. And again, it turns to this wonderful, wonderful jelly that's blue. And what that does is it leaches water to the plant. Now, a lot of people take the granulars, they put them in, and they mix them in with their potting soil. And then when they water in their annuals, they find that the annuals get pushed up. Well, as you could see, they expand. The granulars expand, and that's what that was made for, so the roots can get in there. So I don't do it that way at all. So, and the last two things that I use are, I use Nutricoat, which is an 18-6-8, 140 days with minor. And the Nutricoat is silver, and it is very granular. I put a good tablespoon of this underneath every annual. If you can't find Nutricoat, Osmocote is just as good. The reason why I like the Nutricoat is because I also plant my perennials, my seedlings from hybridizing. And what I like about this is that it starts leaching when the soil is only between 40 and 50 degrees, whereas the Osmocote starts to leach, I believe, between 60 and 70 degrees. So that's why I like these. If I plant my seedlings out and the ground is still on the cold side, this will start to leach almost immediately. And the last product that I use is Preen. You've seen the containers, a Preen, and it's yellow, I think, with a green top. And it's a granular that you sprinkle on top of your soil. And what that does is it stops weeds from germinating. Now, I use an old Parmesan jar, And so it really allows me to sprinkle very nicely. My husband has just taken and filled my pot for me with compost, which is horse manure, leaves, not table scraps, but vegetable scraps. And so you get this nice mix. It's really, really wonderful to plant your plants in. I like to put topsoil, not topsoil, but Miracle-Gro potting soil on the top of this. If you are, this is cheap. This costs you nothing. A little bit of labor to get the horse manure and making yourself a compost pile and adding to it, including a couple of shovelfuls of dirt so that you get all kinds of little worms going in there. But so if you are going to take and you're going to fill this whole pot up with potting soil, the potting soil, it's going to get expensive. I can't afford it. So he puts it, pretty close to the top. And then I add the Miracle-Gro potting soil to the top of that. I like Miracle-Gro products. Some people like other things. But that's my favorite. And we all work with a favorite. And there. And I pat it down a little. And then you take a trowel and you make a hole. In that hole, you're going to put your NutriCoat. You're going to put your moist soil, your soil moist that's already been moistened. I like to put 1 or 2 teaspoons of it in the hole. It's very inexpensive because the granulars, you're only using 4 teaspoons to fill this all up. So it's not an expensive procedure. And then I like to take some dirt and put that over the top of it. Now, this is a geranium. I'm going to tell you a couple things about geraniums. You're going to want to remove any kind of leaf that's damaged before you plant it. When you buy your geraniums, you want to look for something that has, a good base to it. You don't want just one little stick because this is just going to fill right up. And you want to take off all the spent flowers and everything before you plant it. Now, see how the roots are all tight around the corners and everything? I take them and I just start pulling. You might say, oh my gosh, you're hurting it, but you're not. You don't want anything to look like it's going to wrap around itself. So you're kind of like just teasing the roots and getting them to go in the right proper direction. Now it looks like that, and that's kind of messy, but that's okay. Just getting that hole in there. Now I'm going to place this so that this particular plant, it's growing this way, so I might as well use that for height, since that's what it's planning on doing. And you just put that in, and then you make your next 2. And again, I've already gotten these done, but this is how I would put them, and I would put them in. Now, the thing about geraniums that's very important to know is when you're watering, get in underneath the flowers, because once you water the flower, the geranium is very unhappy with you, and the flower will start to rot, die, not look good. But if you go underneath the flower when you're watering your pots, that flower is going to look good for quite a while. Don't be afraid to cut them off, though. If it rains outside and they get wet, cut them off. It'll make more. That's what they want to do. They want to grow. So the last procedure that I do with this is I will take, and once it's all planted, I will get in here with my shaker of preen, and I will start to just go around the plant. And I will put that in and shake it in. Now, preen needs to be watered in well, and I will do that at the end when I'm done planting. So the last step is to take your watering can and put Miracle-Gro solution on that plant. And the reason why you're doing that is I just played with the roots. So the roots are going to take and they're going to go, the plant's going to go in a little shock, a little transplant shock. Miracle-Gro just kind of like gives it a boost, and the little plant doesn't even care what you've done to it. So it really, really is a good procedure to use. Now you don't have to fertilize this the rest of the season. You've got your NutriCode underneath. You've got more Miracle-Gro underneath the plant that the roots will get to and leach to, and so your plants are good. You don't have to. You can if you want to, but you don't need to. Now, another thing that I want to show you is with petunias. Something that you may not know, a petunia wants to get leggy. And when you're going to be taking your petunias and you're going to be putting them in a pot or even planting them in the ground, you don't want them to get all super leggy. So when they look like this, even though there's buds all over it and it looks really, really nice, take an opportunity to cut back your petunias. This way here, you've got a nice little round plant. That plant is going to end up getting real bushy, and you're going to have an extremely gorgeous pot. And one pot will hold all 6 of these easily. So you don't have to spend a lot of money when you're doing up your annuals. You can get away with doing it inexpensively if you want to. There's a few plants that I want to show you that I think are wonderful. This is one plant. This has been potted a couple of weeks now. Look at how nice and lush it's getting. I like the way this one here, I don't know what this is called. It's a moon series. It's a yellow moonflower. But I like it because it goes with this pot beautifully. If you like a pot once it's grown for the season, take photos of it so next year you can duplicate it. All right, I'm going to take and go. I want to show you 2 of my plants that I have that will just, the coleus, that will just amaze you. Now, this one here is called Redhead. She's got a little green on her. We got a lot of pollen out. But this plant here, there's one plant in this huge pot. She's going to get 3 feet high, at least 2.5 to 3 feet wide. What I like about her is she just grows beautifully. Last year or the year before, I had planted her and I had more coleus in. She drowned them right out. It was a waste of money to overplant that particular pot. If you don't know what a plant is going to do, talk to the person that you buy your plants from. I buy mine from Shields Farm, and I ask Carolyn, what's this one going to do for me? What's that one going to do for me? She gives me a good idea so that I love trying out new plants. And I'm hooked on this Redhead. She was here last year. She stopped in the summer to see me, and she said, what did you plant it in? I just planted in what I just told you. And she couldn't believe it had gotten as big as it did, and it does. And the last one that I want to show you that's absolutely phenomenal, and that one there is Wasabi. Look at how beautiful that is. It's a beautiful chartreuse. It does the same thing as Redhead. It's close to 3 feet tall, 2.5 to 3 feet wide. And again, the flowers don't show up until end of August, beginning of September. And it's just a beautiful plant. So I want to say goodbye for the day and wish everybody happy gardening.